In this video I want to show you how to make a material that you can use in 3D Studio Max. Materials are really just, in this case, is basically a picture that you would apply a bit like wallpaper on a brick wall. In Max, your shape is the brick wall and your picture is the wallpaper. You can get pictures to use as textures from a website called cgtextures.com, and it's really useful. You can make an account and it's a free account, and you get 15 megabytes per day, and you can download at various resolutions any of the textures that you feel that you want to use. Some of them are already pre-tiled, which means that, for example, if I look at this small one, if I do tiling preview, there we go, I can look at them at different resolutions, and I can also rotate them and see what they would actually look like on a plane or on a block, or I get an idea of what it might be like in use, and I can see whether or not the repeating pattern of which it is actually looks okay, whether there's any mess or any marks or any corrections that I need to make. So if I go back to Photoshop, this is one that I downloaded from there. I have purposefully not chosen the tiled version of this because I want to show you how you can make your own tiles, because actually that's very useful knowledge to have. This one, when I opened it up, I looked at this gap, and this gap seems to be narrower at the bottom than it is at the top, at least by eye. This post isn't quite level, so I can't use that as a sort of like a feature of the building, and it's just in front of the building. I've got some differences in the arrangements of the curtains, which is quite nice, and I've got this bit at the top which I can't use really. It's just sort of just a small part of the window. I've got two panels here which I need to consider, because I don't want to have two panels, a window, then just single panels. So I need to get rid of this bit as well. So there's quite a lot I need to do with this. If you press Ctrl R in Photoshop, it will bring up your rulers, and from the middle of the rulers you can drag down guidelines. Now you can use these guidelines to see whether or not things are level, and as you can see, the tops of the windows are pretty level. Let's see if they're level all the way down. So this is actually quite square. Now that's great. Let's see if it's square the other way around. See, that's quite square. That's really useful to us. Now if it's not the case, even the edge of the building is brilliant. If that's not the case, what can we do? Well, when you open it up, the background layer will be in italics. I've already sorted that out, but the way you sort it out is you double click on the layer, you press OK, and it will convert to layer 0. From then on you can press Ctrl T, and if you hold down the Control key, it goes from the normal controls of stretch and rotate to, if you hold down the Control key as I'm doing now, it becomes a small triangle, and you can actually adjust the angle of this of the object against the edge, so you can make your verticals and horizontals the angle that you want them to be. I'm going to press escape to come out of that because this one seems to be fine. So how do I make a pattern out of this? Well, first thing is I've got to choose what I want and then get rid of the rest. So the crop tool is quite useful for that. So I'm going to just generally choose that much, and then I need to make a decision, is this what I want? Well, I need these panels here, so I need to come out a little bit more. And I've got the concrete, and I need the concrete probably at the top would be just as good as anything else. Just a little bit, make sure I've got all the concrete and just enough to meet, so hopefully this will appear to be the continuation at the top here. And I need the edge of a window to be here. So I come to about like that. that finishes, should meet that. Let's just try and get a bit more of the finish, like that. Okay, so I think that will probably make a reasonable tile. So I'm going to press enter. There we go, and now that I've done that, you can actually see the extra parts, just a few pixels here, which hopefully will meet quite well. Although I have got the bottom of these here, so I need to test this to see whether or not it will make a good tile. Okay, how do we do that? Well, if I go to filter and other and offset, what that will do is it will pretend that this edge and this edge, or any of the edges actually, are actually not the edges there. It can move them and put them somewhere else. If I show you that, so you might see what I mean. If I do that, so you can see that what this is doing as I move this around is it's rotating the picture around. So the edges of the picture become less clear. Now you can see this looks quite natural, but this actually looks wrong. Got this extra sort of ridge, and that's either the top or the bottom of the original picture. So I need to change the original picture a little bit. I need to chop off this little bit of set of pixels. If I cancel that, I think that's this bit. So I'm going to hedge my bets and see if it is. So I'm going to select that, and I can't seem to select just that little bit there, and that's because snap is turned on. So when you find that things are sticking to boundaries, you need to go to the view menu, and you can see that it says snap to guides, layers, and document bounds is the one that's actually causing me the trouble here. This is the document boundary, and I can just switch off snap, and now I should be able to just choose what I want, like that. So I'll give that a go. So I'm just getting rid of these last few lines of pixels. Press enter. See, that looks quite clean now. So hopefully that will look like it just finishes at the top, creating a sort of cyclic feel to it. So let's test that again. Go to wrong menu. Go to filter, other, and offset. So now what can I see? This looks a bit strange, but no stranger than any of the others. So does that look okay? Yeah, I think that looks fine. So now I can. This has really proven to me that that this texture will work quite well. Apart from the fact that there's a reflection of a car. So if I put this and repeat this halfway up the side of a high-rise, then there might be a problem with the reflection of a car. So I'd have to Photoshop that out, but I'm going to leave that for another time. Really, I could probably just copy this window and put it down there, or copy this window, put it there, or maybe just choose rearrange the arrangements of closed and open curtains a little bit and just omit the one with the car. So I'm going to save this file, save as, and yep, that's where I want to put it. Save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to call it high-rise my tile. In fact, I'll put tile in capital letters, makes it easier to see in the list. The only thing left that you really need to do now is make the texture actually square. All textures have to be square if you want Max to be able to process them in memory very efficiently. If you leave them in a rectangular format like this one is, what you'll find is that Max will still process it very well, but unfortunately you'll find that your memory will fill up much quicker. So the ways around that are to change your image size to something which is an exponent. For example, in pixels, you could use 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. Any higher than this, and you're probably wasting memory, really, realistically. So in this case, it's 671. It's not square. I'm gonna constraint proportions isn't ticked, which is great, which means I can make these the same, and it won't keep the aspect ratio. And I'm going to make these 512, seeing as that's the closest one to the size that it currently is. So we're going to save a little bit of space, which is great. It's going to potentially take up less space in memory. It's going to be efficient in memory, and I'm going to OK that. Now that has changed. You can't really see it, to be fair, but it will have changed the dimensions of the picture. But if that is a problem in the way that it looks in Photoshop, you can always change the UVW map settings in 3D Studio Max to compensate for this, so that this actually isn't a problem, and we'll cover that in a different video. And that's how to make your own textures from pictures in Photoshop for 3D Max.